You know, every time I listen to a Giveon album, I feel like I need to be in a very toxic relationship where I gaslight her to the point where she feels like she's nothing without me. And I pretend like I'm okay when I'm really not okay. And I pretend that I also don't love her when I really do love her. It's a weird kind of thing when I listen to his music. And I'm a really great guy. So for somebody's music to do that to me, that is pretty insane. He makes me feel like I need to fall in that scale between Weekend, Future, Giveon kind of toxicness. But that's neither here or there. Today we're gonna be reviewing the album "Beloved" by Giveon. Let me tell you, man, I was really excited for this when it was announced and when it was coming out and he was releasing those singles. Because I'm a big fan of Giveon, man. I like his earlier works and I love the lane of R&B. He has a very distinctive voice, man. Whenever it comes on, you just know it's Giveon and you know what time it is. But without further ado, let's get into this. So the album starts off with this new direction in which he's going with. It's a little bit different from his previous works. It has more of a live instrumentation kind of feel to it, which I thought was pretty good because he could have went the safe route, but decided to switch it up, man. Because what he was doing beforehand already worked. He didn't have to switch it up, but he wanted to push the boundary of his own artistic kind of landscape, and I rock with that off the bat. He's also got that distinctive voice that really works, right, for that 70s, 80s feels that he was going for. It kind of reminds me of like when Bruno Mars did that Silk Sonic thing, but if they went to like a sadder production route. Because he feels like when I listen to this album, it feels like I'm at a bluesy jazz club and I'm just drinking wine. That's kind of like the feel I get from it. And I'm looking at the track list right now, right? So we got the track Mud. And when I first listened to it, I was like, okay, solid track. You know, it kind of sets the tone for the album. Given that we already heard Rather Be and 20s off the singles before the album release, it sets the tone without giving too much. So I'm not mad at that track. I thought it was solid. It was pretty all right. Very short, just 2 minutes long. And then so Rather Be in 20s was more of that what he was trying to do for the whole album, but it was a radio friendly songs, right? You want to, if these are going to be your singles for your songs, you want it to be radio friendly. That live instrumentation is brought out more. And that distinctive voice, he really showed us earliest on because I remember when I was reacting to it, I was like, yo, his voice sounds a little bit different because his voice is very distinctive, like I said 10 times already. But it kind of felt like it had more of a whinier kind of tone to it, which is fine. Like I really love that whiny tone, but he really pushes it here, man. And it's like it's done so in a way where it's not like too distracting, but it makes you feel like you're begging for your girl. And that is what R&B music has been missing within the last 5 to 8 years, maybe, is dudes begging for their girl back. And I rock with it when it does that. He's still displaying very toxic lyrics, you know, putting the blame on her. But he's also no saint, man. He's always going to admit to some of his toxic ways. And he kind of calls it like therapy. You know how people use a therapy card? All right, now you're going to therapy, but what are you actually doing to kind of fix yourself? He's kind of like doing somewhat similar to what he's been doing in the past lyrically and kind of some of the themes, you know, heartbreak, getting better, how to love, how do you love when you're already heartbroken, things of that nature, things that everybody can pretty much relate to in this day and age. And if you haven't been through any heartbreak, lucky you, because, hey, man, it ain't the easiest. But as the album progresses, right, you can see this girl is moving on, and it's hurting him. But at the same time, man, with the very smooth production and the way he delivers his lines, it really allows his vocals to be front and center. So you get like that feeling, you get that immersive feeling in the music. It makes you want to hit one of these shoulder kind of like shoulder grooves like during the entire album, man. I just found myself moving my shoulders. I thought it was like a really great tone because when you hear the instrumentation, you think you might get bored after a few tracks, which by the way, this is a very short album. It is 14 tracks, 39 minutes. So when you tell me that you put a short album that's only 39 minutes, I'm assuming no filler. I'm assuming this is your best work. And for the most part, there was no track that I did not like. There was no track that I didn't hate. And in all honesty, man, I feel like this track really picked up at track 8. Or the album, I should say. The album really picked up at track 8. Not to say that the first 1 through 7 tracks were not good. It's just that I thought they were really good songs. But track 8 onward are great songs. Those are what show his artistry. I feel like 1 through 7 was more for the casual fan, like somebody new that's listening to Giveon. But now that I'm a person who has listened to Giveon in his previous works pretty often, I felt like track 8 is when he decides to go into another mode, and it starts with Keeper. And Keeper's probably my favorite track on this album. He goes up a few octaves, right? Especially that hook. His melody choices on that, absolutely fire, man. That song makes me feel like I'm slow dancing with a girl, right? With my right hand, I'm holding her like this, and I got a wine glass on my left hand. It feels like we're slow dancing in some low light, toxic relationship, but we might get through it. We might not, but at the moment, I love you, and that's all that matters. And I feel like at this point of the album, right, the production gets a little bit more intimate. There's a little bit more progression in it, and the lyrics hit a lot harder and they're a lot more honest. Because again, he's staying within the same lyrical substance that he's always done. But that's fine. It's R&B music. We care more about the composition and the marriage between all the things. And I feel like once you get to this part of the album, that's where it really takes off. And I feel like Avalanche is another standout because it keeps that same production, right? But more of a bop to it, more of a side to side, step to step. Oh shit, I cannot be reciting those lyrics. I'm sorry. Anyways, it feels like a Sunday morning when I'm cleaning and you're just vibing. You're probably mopping the floor and you're like moving side to side. This album is full of side to side steps, right? A little shimmy, a little shoulder, like little shoulder movement, some snaps, and some bad karaoke. This is what that album kind of gives me that feeling of. Overall, man, I really love the bluesy, jazzy feel to it. A lot of an intimate feeling. Cause I feel like this album would be great, especially under low lights or a late night drive, especially. A late night drive will really set this home. Even more so if you're in a toxic relationship. Because right now, I'm single and I don't got any toxicness in my body right now. So for somebody like me who can't really relate too much at the moment, but can pull from previous experiences, I thought he really did a tremendous job with this album. Again, 14 songs, 39 minutes. I want to emphasize the push forward in his artistic ways, because we heard the Give or Take, right? We heard the EP with Snow Allegra, and those were amazing without him trying to do anything else. Like, he's staying within who he was within those projects, right? And he could have made another The Beach, another Heartbreak Anniversary, another Holy Matrimony. The list goes on, but he decides out of nowhere, you know what, man? Let me switch it up. Let me push this onto you guys. If y'all rock with it, y'all rock with it. If y'all don't, you don't. And I appreciate when artists try to continue to move forward and push forward. I guess my only critique of this album is I would rather, I love the direction stylistically, right? But I would rather him have more of a fluent story that flows from track one to the end of the album. I feel like it's a lot harder to do. Not to say that he didn't stick with any themes within this album. He was telling a story, but it was more so like, it felt like a bunch of songs with very similar subject matter that can relate if you want them to relate, and you just put them together. Not in a bad way. It was just like, I just want more of a story. That's just me like nitpicking and trying to find something. But if he never did that, I'm still really cool with how this album really turned out. Overall, man, I think I would have to give this album, I would give it like a 7.5 maybe. For me, it was just great R&B music. It's one of those vibey albums, but again, if it that 1 through 7, we already heard Rather Be a banger. We heard 20s, a banger. Some of the songs within that realm were good songs, man, but there weren't nothing that I'm gonna go brag to my friends and be like, yo, you need to listen to this. You need to listen to this. And because of that, I have to take away from the score. But once you get to Keep Her Onward, oh my gosh, you cannot. That is another level. He tapped into another level right there. That's when I realized, yo, I text my friends, check this album out. From this song onward, nothing but fire. That's exactly what I did in my real life. Anyways, man, that's the review. And if you enjoy the content, make sure to give a like and comment down below what you thought about this project. I'm very curious to know. I'm gonna read all the comments, and until next time, I'll catch you on the next one.